Today, as we finish or plow through business planning season, I am joined by Becky Brand from Shorewest Realtors in Wisconsin. Becky manages two offices, and one of them has only had three managers since 1969, which tells you something about stability standards and what it takes to really build a culture that lasts. In today's episode, we talk about what agents say they want and what that really means in practice. We talk about onboarding, training, best practices, and why reputation forms the way that it does. And we also zoom out, we go a little macro, and we talk about the bigger question of how does the how not get lost when companies get bigger? If you've been looking around lately and thinking, what in the what? You are not alone. Becky's perspective is steady, practical, and honestly a relief. It is a joy to know her. I'm so glad she's in real estate. Enjoy this conversation. Becky Brand, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you back. You are one of the original three amigos, as all old-time listeners will know and remember Becky, but for those who don't know you, Becky, give the listeners a little background, where you're located, who you work for, what you do, that kind of thing.
Sure. So I am out of Wisconsin, specifically southeastern Wisconsin. I work for Shorewest Realtors. I've done so for 30 years this year, which is absolutely just incredulous that it's been that long. Was an agent for about 5 and then transitioned into management, and I've been doing that ever since. So,
Wow. And if I'm not mistaken, Becky, you are one of the, three brokers over the
yeah,
course?
so I manage 2 offices. The office in the Lake Country area opened in 1969 by a woman named Mary Steinke, who still works with us.
Wow.
And I know, it's amazing. She's amazing. And I'm only the 3rd manager of the office since 1969. So we have a lot of, things are continuous here. We make good changes, but we keep the good stuff too.
Absolutely. And geographically, this crossed my mind right before we started
Mhm.
recording. How give listeners a sense of where in Wisconsin, like how far outside of Chicago or some landmark that people might be familiar with?
It takes me an hour and a half to get to O'Hare from my house.
Okay.
So maybe that gives people kind of a sense. The company itself was started specifically in southeastern Wisconsin. We cover the whole state. We have offices, quite on the north end. And if anybody who's listening knows where Door County is, we have that, and of course Green Bay, and moving over onto the west side of the state. So I hope that gives people an idea of where we are. The Lake Country office is about 30 minutes west of Milwaukee. So
Perfect.
would still be considered a suburb. And then the Watertown office, which is the second office, would be more like 45 minutes west. So
Right. So true Midwestern vibes,
yes,
right?
you got
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Go Packers. Go
That's
Brewers.
right.
Okay.
100 Brewers, Packers, Bucks. We got it all, baby.
Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, and the Midwest has not really felt any extremes either way, compression or oversupply, undersupply. It's really held quite steady, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we had the crazy years with COVID, right?
Yeah.
Where it just and we're still seeing, you have a nice home and you put it on the market and it's under 400,000, prepared well, priced well, all the things. You still have plenty of agents that are waiting through 10, 12, 14 offers for sellers.
Mhm.
And even the higher price ranges are selling at a pretty nice clip. But we are starting to see a little bit of that slowdown where the house goes on the market and there aren't 40 showings the first weekend. There's a couple
Yeah,
and everybody gets a little nervous.
it's really
Yep.
interesting. Like the Sun Belt is operating with some areas are oversupplied, the coasts
Right.
undersupplied. Midwest seems to be calibrating. Seems fairly balanced to me. I don't know what your absorption like.
Still a lack of inventory. I think
Okay.
like everybody at the first time home buyer market, right?
Yeah.
We're continually this year have been one of the strongest markets in the nation
Okay. That's what
as
it
far as
seemed
demand
like.
and price increases. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Because
Mhm. Mhm.
when we talk, off the podcast, it just seems like you guys have been fairly steady,
Mhm.
no massive extremes, and
Mhm.
I find it all very, very interesting. Um, as you know, our industry is a bit like a snow globe from an
Mhm.
organizational and structural perspective. Things are getting shaken up. Shorewest is the largest independent, correct?
Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
Correct.
Yep. So I would think that as a a very established firm, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken, it was a family started, it was
Still owned, still family owned.
still family owned.
Yes.
How many agents total in Shorewest, Becky?
About 800.
Yeah, so we're not talking small numbers here.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
with a large, footprint, a
Mhm.
successful track record. In your estimation, like, what a window into, one of the most interesting times in real estate, quite literally. Like, we've
Mhm.
changed more in the last 2 years than we have in the last 20 years,
Oh, right.
and for the independence of the world,
Mhm.
this is an extraordinary time. Um, Given everything going on, consolidation all around you in the other states, not it doesn't really sound like I think Wisconsin's a little different. So I was absolutely very curious to know how you are seeing the changes all around you, or maybe even Shore West as a whole, and how they're approaching this era. Like, is there something you guys are really excited about? Or is there something you're looking ahead like, we're sort of shoring up for this or that? How are you seeing from your perspective, or, maybe the Wisconsin's
Yeah.
perspective?
Well, and I would say, yes, Wisconsin is a little bit different. We probably when I started or 20 years ago, one of our main competitors was a company called First Weber. They are now a Berkshire Hathaway affiliate. So they were an independent just like us, owned by a family, and made that choice probably 15 years ago would be my guess. Time runs together, but um so we are seeing some of that consolidation and some of the new players come in and all of those kinds of things. It's very interesting because a couple of years ago, I think we would have been, um, we wanted to make sure that our public facing persona to other agents was not, we were the fuddy duddy, old, stodgy, whatever, right? And now I think turn that around, we're the steady, we're the deep roots, we're the third generation leadership. So the two brothers that own this company, they grew up watching changes. Things happen. How do we react to this? How do we respond to that? This is in their DNA to keep this company not only moving forward today, but for their fourth generation coming up and all of our people. I have two other family members that work for the company. I appreciate the fact that they're not just looking at my career, but they're looking at my son's career. And how does that, how does the company operate for the next 40 years so that he can be here if that's what he chooses to do?
Mhm. I'm excited. That excites me in the sense that I think there's been so much talk about, consolidation and more of a corporate style brand. It's exciting to hear that there are still independents that are also excited for the future,
Mhm.
that they're not fearful.
Right.
They're embracing change, looking
Yep.
forward, and anticipating, okay, what next? How are we positioning for the next era of real estate?
Mhm.
Do you have a sense, and this may be, I think everyone is literally forming opinions daily. So, I get it. But has it changed, or how are you approaching now the recruitment conversations, or are you hearing agents approach the industry differently when they come to you, or how are you seeing recruitment? Let's just talk
Mhm.
about recruitment first, and then I'd like to switch to retention.
Sure. So from a recruiting standpoint, I would say, if I asked 100 people over the last however long, what are you looking for in a real estate company, that the word support comes out every single time. They want to know that someone will pick up the phone when they need them. That's what they want to know. There's a lot of other pieces to that, and training and helping them build their business. And in our office, we really focus on helping people grow, excel, and lead. And we talk about it because you're not just building a business, you are building a life. How you build your business is going to affect your life. And so how do we that's what we help agents do. But what they're looking for when they come in the door is support. Who I don't talk to a lot are people who are brand new licensees. They aren't ready to make the jump to full time. They have to pay their bills. I completely understand that. And so they maybe push a little bit of the easy button, which is, I'm going to go with this particular company who is more, doesn't require as much of me. We have a 2 week, 9 to 4 live. You are in the room training for brand new agents. Not everybody can do that if they're working full time.
Right.
So whether that's an internet-based company or a company that's smaller that chooses to do business a little bit differently than we do, but they're doing that and thinking, this is something I can get started part-time, get it up and running. Maybe it's something I can shift to, or maybe I'm going to retire, or whatever that would be. And I don't get to talk to those agents and talk about the support. And when you need someone, you want someone to pick up the phone. And you know what? Agents in this office, but agents in this industry are really great. They're great about sharing information. They're great about a colleague calls them and says, "Hey, what should I write? I got this contingency. What should I write?" Right? They're great with sharing information. The problem is you're not sure that it's the right information or the best practice. It's amazing how sometimes one person starts to believe something and they teach 5 other people that, and then those 5 people teach other people, and then all of a sudden for 10 years everybody assumes this thing that is 100% incorrect. And unfortunately it doesn't come up until we're talking to attorneys and in a lawsuit maybe. But so it is really great, and agents can talk to each other and get good information, but you really want to start your business on a really clean best practices path, as far as I'm concerned, because that's what we do.
Mhm.
Obviously I'm biased towards that.
Mhm.
And I think I kind of got maybe a little far off of what your question was, but when we look at recruitment, we are looking for people that look for what we offer, which is that clear path to getting up and running and being available. I'm a non-selling manager. My associate sales director is a non-selling manager. You're not going to get a text from us that says, "Hey, I have appointments for the rest of the day. I'll talk to you tonight at 8 o'clock." We're available to agents.
One of the things that stands out to me, and one of the things I respect so greatly when I speak to leaders like yourself, and I spoke to Joel Diaz last week, who is a part of a larger,
Mhm,
his ethos. They were very clear on who their agent was. It sounds like you are also very clear
mhm.
on who your agents are, and maybe more importantly, who you are truly equipped to serve. Like a 2 week training, 9 to 5 for 2 weeks, and then the work starts. But it has a baseline. And
Yeah.
then I would imagine you and Amy install standards post 2 week. That's just let's call it onboarding. And I'm putting words in your
Mhm.
mouth. You feel free to correct me. But like when somebody is attracted to Shore West, you have a new agent, um, not a service, but you truly can serve and support a new agent. I think listeners here probably, if I had to guess, most of our listeners here are not they've got probably more than 5, probably 4 to 5 years.
Mhm,
And even still, those agents at 4 to 5 years, when you talk about, how many deals they've done over the course of 4 to 5 years,
mhm.
they still feel new, right?
There you
And
go.
so
Yeah.
having that line of support, it's like, okay, we're clear that we can
Mhm,
truly take on a new agent and serve them well.
mhm,
Let's make this as a bridge, like, because I know for a fact that you
mhm,
get very seasoned, high
mhm,
producing agents also coming to you. So I find that
mhm.
very interesting. Like Joel and company over there, they're pretty clear that they're not wired for that newbie.
I know.
Cool, great.
Right.
I think that's actually a service back to the potential
Agreed.
recruitee, right? But for you guys, what is impressing or impressive to me is the fact that you truly can serve that
Mhm,
new agent well. And let's talk about the seasoned
mhm.
agents. Let's
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, so, let me just clarify one thing on those 2 weeks. Those are not 2 weeks of sitting in a classroom training again. Those are 2 weeks of let's get your business up and running. So
Ooh.
you're actually starting the process of how do I put my database together? How do I talk to them without feeling like I'm being pushy or, salesman-y? So you're doing the activities for getting your business started. So, yeah.
So it's not just theory, and it's like, okay, write me an offer.
Even more than that,
Mhm.
let's say, so they have 5 different sessions in our IT lab to get their technology up and running, but it's not just, "Here's what you do with your database once you have it." It's you are expected to come to class with at least 25 names in this Excel spreadsheet that we are going to import, and then we are going to start working with those people.
Nice,
Yeah, it is nice.
nice.
Yeah, no, let's
And
not
so
wait another 2 weeks.
let's say the seasoned agent approach, because I know this. They come to
Yeah,
you because they have I'm gonna put words in your mouth, please correct me.
okay,
They have 2 things that they've heard about,
okay.
Becky or Shore West or Lake Country,
Mhm,
what have you, that there truly is a culture and there is a standard.
mhm.
You wanna talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. One thing that we tell everybody that we interview, so we have at least a two-step interview process. First interview is about getting to know them getting to know us. Are we a good fit just from exactly what you're talking about, a culture standpoint?
Mhm.
Are you somebody that is willing to help out, is willing to share, is willing to participate in the office, be a part of the office?
Mhm.
Because if you're not going to get the full value of what your split is here at Shorewest.
Mm.
So we have those kind of conversations. If we both say, yep, this looks like it could be a good match, then we move forward with a second conversation about splits and expenses and maybe dig into some more details on how they want to build their business and how we might assist them in that. Um, but you're if you're an experienced agent, I think a lot of I mean, why do you look around as an experienced agent? Probably for exactly what you just talked about, culture and support. We let everybody know when we talk to them about that two-step interview process, that we don't hire everyone who comes in the door. If you make it through the door, you should feel good about that because believe it or not, I've got 60 plus agents in this office. I've got 20 agents in the Watertown office. It's easy for one agent to upset the entire apple cart.
Mhm.
And it's my job to protect what these agents have built because I'm not building the culture. I mean, can I encourage it? Can I say, here's how we operate here? Here's what we've done in the past? Absolutely. But is it the day to day interactions of our agents that create and maintain the culture? 100%.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that we're bringing somebody in that says, this is what I want, and I'm willing to help build it and
Mm.
maintain it.
So really, participatory expectations, and
Mhm,
there are certainly standards.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me just flip then to the
Yeah,
second thing, which is
yeah,
the
yeah.
whole support piece,
Okay.
right? Had a conversation with an agent. They're looking at building a team. and they're concerned that where they are is not going to have the correct support for them. And we talked about why they wanted to build a team, and a lot of agents why they want to build a team, and they unfortunately end up doing the exact opposite of what they wanted to do when they built the team, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a huge piece of the puzzle also. I think if you grew up in it, one of the things that's really hard as a manager is if you grew up, meaning you started as a new agent in an environment where either you didn't have the support from the broker you were looking for, you didn't have the right training, you figured out how to muddle through on your own. And so to make that switch in your brain that I can stop doing these things and get support in this area so I can go out and do these things.
Mhm.
That is the path that you have to walk with them and see if they're interested in that.
Mhm. Yeah, I would imagine that's actually probably harder to show an old, what do they say? Old horse, new tricks, or old
Yeah,
dog,
old
new
dog.
tricks?
Yeah. Yep.
Horse
But if
dog.
you're reaching out, it's because something isn't great.
That's right.
You you're wondering if something could be better.
That's right.
Mhm.
And I have a feeling a lot of people are looking around right now.
Mhm.
There is we are a snow globe of uncertainty. Snowflakes are everywhere at every level of our industry right now. And I will say, what I have found lately very intriguing and interesting is that I hear a lot of leaders from all of the major big players, and man, they are so good. I mean, they are articulate. They have their value proposition down.
Mhm.
And, here I am, an agent of 20 years, and I listen to some of them, I go, wow, that is impressive. It makes you inspired. It makes you feel like anything's
Mhm.
possible. And
Mhm.
then, and then
Mhm.
I know what the localized experience
Mhm.
of that brand is.
Right.
And I'm hoping that amidst all of this snow globe of change and consolidation, I don't know the answer to this, but as things get bigger and mushroom bigger,
Mhm.
boy, how does that culture, support, feeling, ethos, how does that how from that very inspiring leader with a very clear vision and so many skills? It's I mean,
Mhm.
all of them, I have been very impressed with all the leaders I've heard speak, but the
Mhm.
how in the
Mhm.
downline, in the office experience falls
Mhm.
apart. How how on earth, Becky, are we gonna consolidate? Or let me ask it a better question because that's not fair for me. I don't think you have the answer. I know I don't have the answer. I certainly don't have it. But you guys are a big, uh, 800 people is a lot of
Mhm.
people. And so
Right.
how do you think the how is not lost from here's who we are, here's what we
Yes.
believe, here's the standards. And then on a
Right.
random Wednesday, it's actually happening and the consumers feel it and it comes out in the
Right.
customer experience. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I would say a couple of things. Number one, you have a lot of longevity here. So there are torch bearers that have been here like myself, 25, 30 years. We have just a little side note for anybody who's listening, might want to do something fun at their company. We call it the quarter century club. So if you worked for Shorewest for 25 years, doesn't matter whether you still work for us or not, you are invited to a lunch once a year.
Oh,
And it is one of my favorite days of the year because I get to see all these people that I worked with 15, 20 years ago that I would never see them, right? People drive 3 hours to come to the lunch to see people they used to work with. Okay, that's just a cute little side note. When you were talking, I was thinking about the fact that I think it is because of the consistency, right? That we are consistent. We have a mission statement. We haven't changed it. We are a team. It's the same. The other thing I think is on any given day, I'm out with my family. I could run into my company president and I have to be able to look him in the eyes and tell him that what he is doing at the top is translating into my office.
Mm.
So there's a lot of interaction between the top and the agents.
Mm.
When they come out on their, they do a circuit, they come out, they're certainly in my office more than once a year, but they have a specific office visit date. They're not coming to talk to me. They're coming to talk to agents.
Mm.
They want to know them. And that's huge. Examples from the top
Yes,
and
leading by
interaction.
example. Mhm.
Could you do that if you had 10,000 agents? I don't think so. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Right. Right.
I
I,
don't
I
know
don't know.
either.
But when you have 800 agents and anybody runs into one of the people, the exec, and they know your name and they know what office you work for and they know that about your two kids, I don't think you can beat that.
I guess
Right.
here's where my mind goes, is that, when you're very clear about what kind of agent you are good at supporting,
Mhm.
even if you have large numbers, each broker of each office is going to have strengths and weaknesses. Each
Mhm.
broker of each office under one brand is going to be great with X type, and another is going to
Mhm.
be great because they follow this third party system, and another is going to be great.
Right.
Everybody's got their strengths, but to
Right.
play to them, sometimes I wonder, I guess I'm wondering is this business just turning into a numbers recruitment, or are we really going to level up training
Mhm.
whereby we take agents, even agents at the 4 and 5 year level, and say,
Mhm.
we are going to now switch into business development
Mhm.
and really get nitty-gritty about what problem
Mhm.
do you solve? Because I'm really clear
Mhm.
on the problem that I solve for agents, and
Right.
therefore I can help you figure out what problem you solve for your
Mhm.
customers.
Right.
Boy, I'd love to see that kind of level of training. And that
Mhm.
is what I'm asking is a
Mhm.
tall, big ask. I know.
And you're asking for agents like you. There's a lot. There's a certain number of agents that don't want to do the work for that. They
You
they
could not be
don't
more
want to.
right.
They don't want to worry about the business side of it. They're not thinking about their P&L. They want to help people. That's what they want to do. They want to do it in the way that works for them. Not even so intentionally, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be wired to support those people and support the people, which we are, that say, okay, I'm in my fifth year. I'm doing enough business. I want to start a team. What's my first step? How do I put the finances together? Where are the pitfalls? How can you help me with this? Can you help me hire someone? All of those things that we do for those agents. Um, and I want to be super clear, and I think we were before, but Shore West isn't just about new agents, right? And it isn't, people don't stay here for 30 or 40 years because it's easy or they don't want to, no one ever asked them to go somewhere else. It's that they value what we have and they value the growth that we've been able to help them with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
guess in my estimation, like agents are gonna have to decide, okay, what kind of agent am I?
Hmm.
I love talking to people about that. Okay, are you practicing this business from a transactional place and mindset? Are you chasing this as more of building a brand? So if agents can come to a Becky or a Shore West or any company and say, this is what I'm chasing. And if I'm going to give you a split, this is the kind of support I'm looking for. What is it a match?
Yep. And you probably even need to take a step back before that. And a lot of agents are going to look for help in deciding what kind of agent they are and what kind of business they want to run.
Ah, yes. Yes,
They That's not a natural inclination to sit down and think I can be one of these three kinds of agents as
that's
we know in your framework. So
that's right.
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Okay. So do you think we all know that reputation is important? And
Mm.
I would say that there are times where certain brokerages get a reputation that may be, for lack of a better word, unpositive among other agents, right? Maybe they've just taken on too many new agents, that they just can't train them adequately, or don't really know what's happening. But the offers we get are bad. If we do have an accepted offer, it's not an easy transaction because the agent on the other side isn't knowledgeable about what they should be doing or how they
Mm.
should be doing it. Do you obviously I see a ton of transactions. So my view is much bigger. Do you think individual agents have companies that they look at and they go, "Oh, bummer." They may not know the agent, but they know the company and they think, "Oh, bummer. I hope I get another offer because I don't want to work with XYZ company." And I don't mean that in a, they're still going to present both offers. They're still going to do everything they're supposed to. But do you think that reputation really hangs out there or not? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it really does. And I'm just thinking, there is not one broker that has not been doing their very best and has done
Agreed.
their absolute most
Mhm,
to facilitate good
mhm,
agents in the region.
mhm,
However, that's a hard job, right?
mhm,
And so I have had over the years there are, sure, there's absolutely companies that have a better
mhm,
reputation than
mhm,
others, and you get, really happy. I have also
mhm.
had the inverse experience where I think, oh boy. And the agent's been marvelous,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
There's domestic agents at every company, 100%.
So I would say that feeling and the percentage of the time I was right has gotten less and less and less over time.
Hmm,
And
interesting.
now it is interesting, and it's a really good question, Becky, because it made me think, yeah, what has been my experience? It has gotten less and less because, well, as we've gotten more, um, and it might be some of the transactions I was into as well, like
Mhm,
um, your whatever. But the consolidation era, when we have these
mhm,
big numbers of people coming through, I think my mind, to answer your question where it's going in the future, I think it's going to that training in-house at the office level
mhm,
is
mhm,
so gonna be so vital. And I wonder, like I said at the beginning, I was listening to these leaders talk, and I'm like, wow, when you are that good, how can your product be that bad in real life?
Aw,
And I feel for the newer people coming up and through because they don't know what they don't know,
right,
right? They've
right.
just heard so and so talk, and it's like,
Yeah.
it sounds amazing, right?
If if you were starting and whatever the offering was, and it sounded like you could get going without too much outlay on your part, and that you would have access to all these recorded trainings and all of this, I can understand that.
Mhm.
I just know the difference between many of those agents and the ones that come through our system.
And I'm thinking about the AI and the cloud versus the physical locations and the support and what does that look
Mhm,
like, and boy,
mhm,
does that it gets really, like, individualized because you've got some learners who are very good self-starters, they have no problem working
right,
alone, you've got other people who cannot put the cat down and they need to be in the office, it's like it's
right,
all over the map, and that's where I
right,
go, "Okay, the office broker is gonna have such influence, even more influence over the
mhm,
standards we are willing to accept as an industry."
mhm,
And I guess my latest little rant is like, agents, it's up to us. Like
right, right,
if there were swaths of agents leaving one firm to go to another because of behavior or because of belief, or whichever way the wind blows on a few very large, important things, it's going to be really interesting to watch this cookie crumble.
Mhm.
And I have no idea. I have no
None of
idea.
us do. None of us do. I mean, could we have predicted this 5 years ago?
No.
6 years ago? No, absolutely not.
Like, I had a feeling change was coming. I
Yeah,
will be completely honest. I didn't know it was going to be
yeah,
this deep, but here we
yeah.
are. And that's
That's
why
right.
I was so excited to like having the ability to talk to people around the country going
Mhm,
because we're all going through this at the same time. We are
mhm,
all experiencing uncertainty. If you are listening right
right,
now and you're like, "Oh my gosh, what in the what?" You are not alone.
right,
Becky and I are with you. And every single solitary person is looking around the room like, do nobody knows
mhm,
how this cookie's gonna
right,
crumble. But I will say this, I had the experience of being inside of a meeting not too long ago, and I am listening very carefully to how agents speak, what they say,
mhm,
what they believe, how they operate, and, um, in some cases, I have been really, really pleased. In other cases, I have not. And it makes me think, okay, I better be really certain about what I
mhm,
believe, why I believe
mhm,
it. Can I articulate that to my client consumer, to the
right,
lay people?
right,
Because what's going to happen, this is what the only thing I do know. Whatever happens, however we choose to operate as an industry is going to
mhm,
have a byproduct effect onto consumers and how they view us. And
right.
they won't view Sandy individually from Becky.
No,
Becky and Sandy will be the same
we'll
real
lump
estate
together.
agent or real estate people. And that is
Mhm,
why I'm asking any listeners have the conversations, understand what you believe. Do not be led around by the nose. At least have a defensible position of whatever it is you believe, be able to
mhm,
explain why. Why do you believe that?
mhm,
And then whose best interest is that decision in? If you just take those two questions, um, you should be able to, I think, maintain and excel in the future of real estate.
mhm. I
I will
like that.
I'm staying to the positive
Yep.
because I gotta believe people are gonna see that too. What do you
Mhm.
think, Becky?
I agree with you. I think, not kind of following the whims doesn't really help you out. You really have to look and what you believe today may shift 6 months from now because the landscape has shifted so
Sure.
much. And we're all if that North Star is what's right for my clients. We all have to be profitable. We're all running a business. But profit does not come at the expense of our people, the
No.
people we're helping. Which, whether that be for me, agents or clients down the line. Um, yeah, I would use the word intentionality. I think that it's the more I am intentional in running my offices and doing my job, the better and the easier it gets.
Mhm.
And the same thing for agents. The more intentionality you have in running this business, the easier it gets. It's still a lot of hard work. I'm not putting that, not
Always
saying
has
fixed
been, always
hard
will
work,
be.
but to have a path laid out makes things that just so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if we keep the right things and as the right things, if we keep the right North
Mhm.
Star as the right North Star, it's still going to be a beautiful business. I mean, the freedom to build what you want has never been more accessible than it is now. Um,
Agreed.
but when we talk about like alignment of
Mhm.
ethics, call them standards of operating.
Mhm.
I know to your wise point when you were said, if people are looking around and interviewing other brokerages, there's a reason why.
Mhm.
So if you and I kind of feel a lot of empathy for the brokerages who are, you know, profit is a thing. I have no
Oh,
problem looking at a
mhm.
consumer and saying, yeah, we're not charity,
Right,
we're a business. And I
right.
think they're okay with that too.
Certainly.
So when agents experience inside the brokerage, if we're just chasing profit margin, brokers and owners out there listening, it's okay to say that. You can just say it. Agents are going to be all right. They get it. They don't need a big, speech about something that it's not. Just say
Mhm,
what it is and say why
mhm.
we're doing this. And I also think it's important for brokerages and broker owners to come up with their standard, come up with their opinion so that agents can say, am I in the right place or not? Because, I think there are people who feel wildly different all under one roof. And I think that's a lot of the reason people feel so uncertain right now is like, I don't know, what do you believe? Well, I don't know. What do you believe?
Certainly.
Uh,
Yep.
It's okay to say what you believe. And, and then at the end of the day, my hope is that whatever we all believe, the consumer has a positive experience with us as an industry because
100%.
that is really what matters.
Good
Should
place to
yeah,
end. I
I
like it.
think it might be. I was just like, is that a good place to end it? I don't know.
Perfect place.
Becky Brand, Shorewest out of Wisconsin. Becky, you're the best. Thanks for
Oh,
being in this
thanks.
industry. The whole industry is better off because you exist. Thanks for joining me on Renovating
Yeah.
Real Estate. Listeners, we will be back next week.